Hey everyone, it's Gavin. It is September 30th, and it is... I can't even see that. I think it's about 1:15 in the afternoon. Um, ooh, I really just had to force myself to hit that record button. I wanted to make a video. I'm sitting here smiling, and I'm going to tell you that it's been... it's been a really rough couple of weeks. I don't know, I guess I may have hit that point that a lot of trans guys do in their first year of transition, where they feel just this pervasive sense of sadness and emptiness and hopelessness. I guess, basically it's like a postcard for depression. Do you feel sad? Do you feel hopeless and empty? Well, yes, I do. I'm not entirely sure, sorry, I had a cat here, how to articulate the emotions that I'm feeling. Obviously, I like to try to mask them with humor. There's a lot of different things kind of swirling around in there. It's a plethora of feelings. It's like a buffet of sadness. No. Okay, I'll be serious. It's really hard for me to talk about these things because I'm a very private person. And I don't like to discuss my feelings with other people. I have a very sound process inside myself for dealing with these things. So that that is what is going on right now, and I want these videos and this documentation of my transition to be authentic, and in order to do that you have to include the good and the bad. So I'm a little down. I'm a lot down. I know a lot of guys have said that crying is hard for them when they've started T, but that's not really a problem for me. I've actually been doing quite a bit of that the last couple of weeks. Which, I mean, is fine, because, after you cry, it causes a release of endorphins, which helps you feel better, so I'm glad that I can cry. Alright, so, I'm experiencing this badness right now, and, while I wanted to kind of talk about that and touch on that, I also wanted to discuss how I, as an individual, an alcohol prep, I'm so fidgety, how I, as an individual, cope with negative emotion. But I have to give you a little backstory to this. And the backstory also makes me uncomfortable, because it's not something that I'm open about. It's not something that I tell, everyone I meet. I used to have a lot of shame around this backstory, but I've kind of learned to embrace it and appreciate how far I've come. So, with that having been said, the backstory is as follows. At the age of 13, I was a very disturbed, angry, unhappy individual. I was put into my first acute psychiatric facility at the age of 13. And from that point, it didn't stop. I was basically institutionalized. I was in an acute psychiatric facility or a residential psychiatric facility until the age of 18. So that whole span of time, I was locked up. which is kind of fun to say because it makes it sound like I was in jail or something. But no, it was psychiatric facilities. Um, and I have, I have dealt with the issues that in and of itself caused, because my entire adolescence was spent in these facilities locked up. So I didn't have a normal development. So while I am 31 years old, sometimes it's really difficult because I feel like I'm only, like 24. um, Anywho, I'm getting really, really sidetracked because I'm super, super uncomfortable, and I have a tendency to ramble excessively when that happens. So let me focus. The whole point of that backstory was to help explain how I, as an individual, cope with my negative emotions. So, obviously, during some very formative years, I was ensconced in a therapeutic setting. And while I thought it was the most horrible thing at the time, in retrospect, I can find a sense. I'm grateful that I got to experience that, because not a lot of people be get to learn those coping skills and be so wrapped up in therapy and learning how to deal and cope and process things. So for me as an individual, when I have negative emotions, I'm very logical, I'm very analytical. I don't detach from those emotions because that's not healthy. I do allow myself to experience them, and as I'm experiencing the emotions, I process them. I try to understand what catalyzed this emotional response. I try to understand what about me is causing me to respond that way, and I try to determine the most healthy way to allow those emotions to manifest outwardly. Because for me, if I don't find some way to allow those emotions to manifest physically outside of my person, then I will keep them in, and that's very destructive for me. So it's all very, very logical and very analytical. And I remind myself when I'm feeling these emotions that I'm in control and I understand why they're happening. So my emotions don't control me, I control them. Like the last couple of weeks, as I've been experiencing these feelings of sadness and hopelessness and emptiness, I'm acutely aware of the fact that that's resultant from my transition, and that helps me keep things in perspective, and it helps me get through each day. And that's really for any negative emotional situation that I experience. I believe that if you have a solid understanding of why you're feeling that and why you're responding the way you are, and a healthy way to allow it to manifest outside of your being, then you will always remain in control of your emotions, and they will not control you. And you will be able to experience them and allow them to happen organically in a very healthy, controlled setting. So, that is what I'm doing. It's great fun. Um, I know that, as cliche as it sounds, this too shall pass. So, that's what's up. I hope everyone is doing well, and if not, then I hope it gets better. It will, if you're just patient. So, me and my alcohol swab are going to go let the dogs out and try to find something that stimulates our appetite. Y'all have a good day, and I will